With Tekken introducing a lot of DLC guest characters since Tekken 7, and 2 of them being Final Fantasy characters, one character has been on the top of the character wishlist for Tekken 8.
Tifa in Tekken.
You wanna go one-on-one with me? Come at me then.
But what if I told you that Tifa was already a playable character in a Final Fantasy Tekken game? Not really. Released in 1998 for arcade and the PlayStation, Ehrgeiz, God Bless the Ring, is a fighting game developed by Dream Factory, the brilliant minds behind the greatest fighting game of all time, Kokuto Chojin, as a partnership with Square that features a roster of original characters as well as Final Fantasy VII characters. The game's premise is that a legendary sword called Ehrgeiz was sealed within some ruins and could only be opened with the Ehrgeiz stone. The stone became the prize for a tournament, and whoever won could take the sword. Where and what are these ruins? Who organized this tournament? Why did they have this supposedly super rare stone to unlock a legendary sword? And why should you care? Who knows? The only true piece of lore that this game offers is the confusing but cool looking intro, and that's it. Not even after beating the arcade mode you get a piece of lore. Unlike traditional 3D fighting games, Ehrgeiz draws inspiration from wrestling games, allowing players to move in 360 degrees and not forcing characters to always face each other. Besides the fighting game portion, Ehrgeiz also features a Diablo-like action RPG dungeon crawler mode named Quest Mode, mini-games, and a menu with deafening, ear-piercing sound effects. So let's get over each component of this game, starting with the fighting game. As you most likely could tell by now, Ehrgeiz's fighting game mode is not really a Tekken-like fighting game, as much as some people might try to say that it is, and as much as the developers try to sell it as. It is a 3D fighting game designed by Seiichi Ishii, the original game designer for Tekken and Virtua Fighter. And that's where the similarities end. Ehrgeiz is more in line with arena fighters, such as Square Enix's very own Final Fantasy Arena series Dissidia, than Tekken, Virtua Fighter, or even the Street Fighter EX series that Ishii worked on. And that is because of the 360 degree movement. This makes so the game becomes more limited in what it can do with its controls, as any directional input forces characters to move towards a direction. So, if you are a traditional fighting game fan hoping to find cool combos and motions, you will be disappointed to find out that the game's combos and commands are mostly just mashing 3 buttons all the time. Ehrgeiz has 3 attack buttons, a special button, a jump button, and a block button. The 3 attack buttons, as you can guess, are light, medium, and heavy attacks that can be combined for simple combos. The special button causes the character to perform a special move that can be charged for a stronger effect and consumes the special meter under their health bars. Spoilers, it's mostly just shooting projectiles. The jump and block button functions are obvious, but it's worth noting that the attacks that come out after hitting an attack while holding down the block button are different from the regular attacks. The command moves are a mess because of the 360 degrees playing field. Some of them, for example, require you to press forward 3 times and then hit an attack button. But when characters are moving all over the place, not only moves might come out in an entirely different size than you might wish to, but it also makes it for some very confusing input logic. Is forward facing the opponent or just forward on the D-pad? Well, you will never know, and the move will probably whiff when it comes out anyway. At least you get to watch some funny wavy looking movement while doing it. and having to manually turn your character towards your opponent is fairly odd. The gameplay overall isn't really that exciting. As far as characters go, besides the Final Fantasy VII characters, you will find out that the roster is mostly just very bland. Characters look very generic and for the most part, nearly none of them have some gameplay characteristic that really makes them stick out. Some of them have gimmicks that are fairly interesting, like Yo-Yo Yoko spinning yo-yos around her and Joe becoming Pikachu from the dreams of Satan himself, but it's still not enough to make them memorable. When I make videos talking about fighting games, I tend to go over a bit of each character, but in this game it just feels pointless. You have a few weirdos here and there like the previously mentioned characters and Django attacking you by adorably mauling you with his paws. But most characters have basic moves that look very similar and specials that are just variations of a fireball. Even the Final Fantasy characters aren't safe from being bland, with Cloud, Zack and Sephiroth all being just install characters that draw their swords, spam slashes and summon meteors as their charge specials. And Yuffie, Tifa and Vincent feel like simple reskins of some of the game's original characters. Granted, Vincent pulling out the blicky like the edgelord that he is, and shooting his opponents in their faces at point blank range is honestly really funny. The stages are honestly a mess. While the idea of progressing towards the ruins is cool, a lot of these stages are interesting concepts that end up being really inconvenient, impractical, and unfun to play in. The music, however, is a high point of this game, and I am particularly a fan of Jungle's stage music. It sounds like it would be the theme for Blade Runner if the movie was shot in the Soviet Union, and Eduard Artemiev composed the soundtrack. Now, besides having exclusive characters such as Sephiroth, Zack, Yuffie, and Vincent, the PlayStation version of Ehrgeiz also had some extra game modes. The mini-games aren't really all that exciting. You get a survival fighting game mode, a racing mode, whatever the hell this is, and the beach game modes, which are just racing and racing with obstacles. However, the quest mode was definitely a surprise for me. I started playing it, expecting it to be a boring, irrelevant side mode, but it turned out to be pretty good. In it, you take control of Claire and Koji, two archaeologists who find leads pointing to the existence of ruins that could contain evidence of a lost, scientifically advanced ancient civilization that had found the secrets to immortality. And where did they find these ruins, you might ask? Well, Germany, of course. The gameplay is pretty much Diablo but simpler. You don't get a lot of abilities to play with, but you do get a variety of weapons and spells that you can swap around to your liking. You will delve into 21 levels of this dungeon, with shortcut entrances available straight into the 7th and 13th levels. While fairly simple when compared to full-fledged ARPGs, because let's be real, this is a side mode for a 3D fighting game, Quest Mode clearly had a lot of effort put into it. Besides the basic RPG stuff, items can drop with different status bonuses, eating different foods gives different buffs, and there is even a wine stock market. Buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy high, sell low, fuck! The creature variety is also pretty nice with warlocks, dodos, crocodiles, blobs, sunflowers. Wait. Sunflowers? Sunflowers! Skeletal knights! Whatever these skinless guys wielding skull weaponry are. Skulls for the skullflower. Gorgons and dragons. This mode could have been its own thing, and honestly, it feels like it probably was going to be before being scrapped and thrown into Ehrgeiz as an extra game mode. Maybe I'm biased because I love ARPGs and I've sunken countless hours into them, but to me at least, this game mode is still far better than whatever the main game itself was trying to do, and it's not even close. The main reason Ehrgeiz was forgotten is because it simply couldn't stand to its competition in the 3D fighting game market. The game tried to be quirky, appealing to a more casual audience with its arena fighter style, and featuring Final Fantasy VII characters, but it lacked any real substance to make it stand out from the rest. The late 90s were where 3D fighting games were at their peak. Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Soul Calibur and Dead or Alive were all out by this point. If Ehrgeiz wanted to play with the big boys, then it had to bring something new to the table, which it didn't. Bland and forgettable character designs and bad stages make for a guaranteed death sentence of a fighting game. Besides failing to keep up with the strong competition of its time, Ehrgeiz falls into this awkward middle ground where it is quote-unquote like Tekken, but it's not, and it sings like a Final Fantasy game with all the guest characters and Cloud and the Squaresoft logo being prominent in every piece of marketing for the game, but the game is also completely unrelated to Final Fantasy. Ehrgeiz feels deceitful, and that didn't help its case, causing it to fall into the realm of forgotten games. Bland, weird, and not as interesting as its competitors, Ehrgeiz was inevitably going to be forgotten. While the fighting game itself is definitely not impressive, I was pleasantly surprised with Quest Mode, and I wish that was a game by itself instead. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe and leave a comment. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.